I can't complain about no one in ECW at the time, man. No one that I knew of, was crazy. It was just a good group. Compared to now when I went to OVW and I was signed on the developmental deal with the WWE, it was a little different because I came back from war, and they had their cliques because I was in class with like Bobby Lashley, John Morrison, the Pope, what's his name, Damien Sandow,
Yep.
Aaron Stevens,
Yes.
good guy, Beth Phoenix, Julian Hall. I was in that class. Those guys. And Beast. Chad Gaspar and those guys. But it was. I think they had already been there for a while, so they already had their cliques. The Boogey Man, all. But then the guy that I hung out with mostly was Boogey Man, Marty Wright. Then Ken Anderson, he came. But the guy that I really hung out most was with the Boogey Man and stuff like that. And until I got let go. But it was a different crowd. And so I was like, this is not the same. It doesn't feel the same as when I was with WWE. I mean, when I was with ECW. It's a lot different. But it was all good because I was getting paid. I was actually under developmental, but I was getting paid TV roster pay, Raw. I was making about something like that. I was getting paid a little bit more than the others because they thought I was going to fast track.
Gotcha. Now I got to ask you. You said you were friends with Marty. Now, my 6-year-old is on a Boogeyman kick right now. He runs around. He'll sneak in the room and he say, "I'm the Boogeyman, and I'm coming to get you." He sees it on YouTube, right? He sees it on YouTube all the time. And he scares the heck out of his 2-year-old little brother. But they say Marty Wright was a little off his rocker. He's a little bit different, let's say, a little eccentric. Any crazy stories about him?
Well, when we were in class, I mean, Marty come from a real football background, playing real football. But he also come from Hollywood a little bit, doing extras. Like he was in Any Given Sunday, transported to, I don't know what else. And so I don't know what I really don't know what he thought about wrestling. He could grasp it, but not because he was older than us, I think. It was kind of hard for him to really grasp that psychology, but now he has it. It takes a while, and so we were in class and everything, and I just remember him getting his teeth knocked out. We were with he was doing a tag match with someone, and they were going up against the Heartthrob. You remember that tag?
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, I like those.
Antonio Thomas and
yes.
What's the other guy's name?
I can't think of the
Romeo Roselli.
Yeah, I think Romeo was the one who knocked his teeth out. I think Antonio was the short, bigger guy. I think, but
yeah,
I remember that. I remember that day, and it was just like, oh shit! And I really thought he was gonna kill that dude. You know what I mean? And but he didn't. And so. But Marty was he's a good guy. I mean, he's a nice guy. Work out with him. I used to work out with him when I was in OVW, and he can ball when it comes to working out, and we go out to eat and everything. And but yeah, he was just kind of. It was hard for him to grasp the wrestling thing. The technique of it and everything. And so, but he was good, damn good, with his promo. And I think that's what Hollywood taught him, or whatever, wherever he came from, taught him. And so when he did his promo, Paul and they were on him, you know what I mean? Because he came up with his own shit, makeup and everything, and people we thought he was like, this was crazy, and when we go in and do our promo, we would hear him yelling. And he was like, and we were like, We sitting in the back waiting our turn. We waiting our turn to go do our promo. We're like, what the fuck? And next thing you know, this dude is on. You know, he's a legend now. You know what I mean? So you really have to be careful how you judge people, look at people in a sense of you don't know because you don't know what wrestling and promoters and stuff are looking for. And so at that time, man, they were looking for someone like him. And you know, he's not a fantastic wrestler. He's not a technical wrestler. None of that. That's why you won't see him really on WWE in a full match. You would never see that. But they would insert him in certain things to make him, and he got a fan base that's like out of the world. You know what I mean? But he's really super nice dude, man. And I don't think I would. I'm not scared of a lot of guys, you know, but I wouldn't. I wouldn't really want to get him mad. You know what I mean? Because I don't know what he do. If motherfucker eat worms, I ain't fucking with you.
I was just going to ask you that. You said you went out to eat with him on numerous occasions. I don't even want to know about that, brother. I don't even know about that.
No, he was cool, man. He's cool. You know, he's like, you know, he loved ribs. And we would go to this place in Louisville, Smoky Bones, and we would eat ribs, man, and shoot the shit. And but he was a good guy, man. He stayed in shape, always stayed in shape. This dude was always in fun. I don't know how. That's one good question people need to know. You need to ask. How old is Marty? Right? I don't know. I don't know how old he is. But I tell you what, dude is in phenomenal shape.
So did he get his rack of ribs with a side of worms or what?
I don't know. no. But no, he's a good guy. You know, he's just you know, he's just fun. He's really cool to be around, man. Really, him and Bobby Lashley are really good friends. So him and Bobby Lashley, Booker T, I think they're good friends, you know, or they were, you know. But Marty's a good guy, man, and you know, those are guys like that. The Pope, you know, I would hang around the Pope, you know, and he's good. He's another guy that's phenomenal on the mic. I don't know why WWE didn't keep him around or whatever. They could have easily put him with Bobby Lashley on the mic, you know. But
have you seen his work in the NWA prior to the pandemic?
No, I haven't. I haven't checked him.
He's killing it, man. He's doing really awesome, and he just won the television title there a few months ago as well.
Yeah, I heard that. I saw that. Yeah. I didn't see the match like that, but man, Pope was phenomenal, man. He was, I mean, good shape and everything. When he signed with WWE, I was like, why didn't he keep him? You know, maybe they're gonna bring him back. I don't know.
Yeah, he looks like a star. You know, he looks like he would do really well there. Yeah.
Yes,
you know, WWE has like a lot of the wrestlers. You know, they have to look a certain way to be on television, kind of a thing. And he has that look. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So. Yes, and that's another thing about wrestling, man. I know we're going off, but you know, wrestling has changed a lot. You know, I mean, I like it. You know, like AEW, I love it. You know, and you have to go with the changes. You know, as time goes on, you have to go with it. But it's a lot of smaller guys now than when I was watching wrestling. You know, when I was watching wrestling, man, you had to be 230, 240, 300 to even look like some championship material. You know, and now it's like you got to be 160, 170, 100. You know, and it's like, really? You know, just to, you know, I saw one match on AEW, not knocking AEW, but I saw one match. It was called this big guy. I can't think of his name, but he went against Jungle Boy, the guy named Jungle Boy. Yes. Jungle Boy, yeah, Jungle Boy is probably 150, 60 pounds soaking wet. This guy he wrestled was like 280 pounds, looked like muscular, big dude. I can't think of his name. Good looking dude, looked like he reminded me of Hercules Hernandez. Got the hair, everything going. I can't think of his name. Dude comes the Jungle Boy. Starts with C.
Was it Wardlow? Is that
no, not him. No, this guy's real hairy. He looks like Hercules Hernandez, but he's real hairy, almost like Bruiser Brody, but not quite as tall, but muscular, kind of big. Starts with a C. I don't know. It's Corona. I don't know. But anyway, I saw this Jungle Boy come out. I'm like, this guy's 160 pounds soaking wet. No way in God's green earth, unless he's like a black belt in jiu-jitsu or something, that he's gonna beat this guy. You know, and so to me, when it comes to that psychology part of it, I don't understand that. You know, because back in the day, that would never happen in NWA or WWF or AWA. You know, it would never happen. You know, you have to have something that's believable. You know, in a sense to. So you know, some of these guys, I don't know.
That's the difference between wrestling when we were growing up. It's like, a guy like that would get squashed in a matter of seconds,
Exactly.
Guys like Hogan or the Warrior, but now, and especially in AEW, you have things like the Mimosa match or whatever with Jericho and Orange Cassidy, stuff like that. I mean,
Yeah.
Andy's got everything.
I know you gotta change with time. I understand.
Yeah.
But you cannot make this shit look bubblegumish. Wrestling has always had that facade, and we know what the F word is. So when people say, "Oh, you're a wrestler," oh, you do that F stuff. You know what I mean? Okay, but there's a side to it that you don't understand. Right. All right, but don't make it look like the F stuff. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Have a mystique about it like it used to be. You know what I mean? You don't see grandmothers at the wrestling matches anymore. But when I was growing up, you look out in the crowd, there'd be some old farts at the wrestling matches, and they were into this shit. Like, get them. You don't see that no more. And I like I said, I know times have changed, and I give my kudos to those guys and girls in AEW and WWE, NXT, Ring of Honor, but if I'm a promoter, man, I gotta have some size, and if I have size, I cannot let them get squashed by someone who's like 160 pounds, 150 pounds, less than what they weigh. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? Right. I mean, it can happen. I'm not saying it cannot happen. But 9 times out of 10 in a real world situation, you're not going to. It's just not going to happen. Unless, you got to be a Ryan Garcia like boxer, like fast as hell to knock someone out. I don't know. And it's just fast. And the thing is, it's so fast. I can't keep up. I'm like, what move was that?
Right, I know.
What did he just do?
No, and another thing that we talk about all the time, and I want your perspective on this, is like back in the day, you had a solid finishing move where there was a pile driver, power bomb, or whatever. The guy was out, wasn't getting up.
Kick out. No kick out. Right. I know where you're going.
Now you got to have. Now you use 5 finisher, and the guy's kicking out every single time. He's not even selling the last finisher.
That's what's making people. I think wrestling will always have its own fans, but some people, if you want to draw bigger fans to it, if my girlfriend turns on the television, she sees it, and he kicks out of a power bomb off the top rope, she's gonna be like, "That's not real. That's how did he do that?" You know what I mean? You just went on the top rope, you power bomb somebody, and you kick out. Come on, man. That's I don't understand that. Whatever happened to the old sleeper? Put them to sleep. Would they just automatically? Just wake up? I don't know. I know it's going. I know wrestling is going somewhere. It's going wherever it's going, but maybe we're all just getting too old, and I don't know.
That's what I always say when I don't understand something. Okay. You mind if I ask you a couple more questions about OVW?
Yeah.
You worked under Jim Cornette was the head there, right, at the time?
Yes.
What was it like?
He was one at one time. He was, I think, and then it was But first, when I got there, it was Bill DeMott.
Bill DeMott was in. Okay.
Bill DeMott, and then Lance Storm.
Okay.
I think, and then between Lance Storm and Bill DeMott, Jim Cornette was also in there teaching or something like that. But he was not teaching every day. It was just like once a week he would do teaching. Jim
What was it
Cornette.
like working with Rip Rogers? Because he was down there at the time, if I remember correctly.
He wasn't on. He was not working with the contract guys.
Okay.
He was working with the other ones like JTG and all those guys. I don't know who came out of that class because their class was after hours. We had class first in the morning, and I think they did theirs in the evening.
And real quick, you mentioned Bill. You mentioned Bill DeMott. Now, there's been a lot of stories about Bill DeMott over the years. How was your experience working with him?
It was okay. I mean, I think I only worked with him maybe a month, maybe or less than a month, because after that he was out the door. Then Lance came in, and then like I said, Lance, and then Jim Cornette would do the Wednesday night review like of your show because every night, no, every once a week, OVW we had a live show, house show, and then Jim Cornette would come back, and that was on Friday night, I think Fridays. He would come and critique every show, every match of the show. So Bill, I didn't, like I said, I think maybe 2 or 3 weeks, maybe a month, and then they got rid of him or something like that. Yeah, he used to give the Boogey Man a hard time though. You know? I do remember because we do like the international or something like that, and Boogey Man couldn't grasp it, and Bill be all on his ass, you know, like, what you doing? Martin looking at him like, man. So yeah, but you know, that at that time there's a lot of guys that still wrestling now, like, you know, Dolph Ziggler, you know, those guys. We had a good time down there also. They had, you know, they were pretty good. They're pretty cool. You know, just not like the ECW that I remember, you know. Right. And you know, things was changing. But it was okay, you know. For me it was okay.
Is it fair to say it kind of seemed like guys were gunning for positions as opposed to ECW, which was more of a team sport?
Yeah, I think so because of, well, everyone knew everyone was on contract. Everyone knew in that class. We knew we were on contract. It was just a matter of who was going to get picked to do television. Like the Undertaker would come in sometimes, the Dudleys would come in sometimes, you know, and they would just like look and see who's ready, you know. And then when we would go to Raw and SmackDown shows, and then they would be like, you know, this guy ready here. And you kind of already knew what was going to happen because a lot of guys would gravitate, like Batista. Those guys would gravitate to guys like Bobby Lashley, you know, because of his physique. He was bigger then, you know, and so you knew when we walked into Raw, people would gravitate to Bobby Lashley like that. So like, okay, they wouldn't even look at me. They were just like Bobby Lashley, and so you knew. I think he already kind of knew what was going on. He was going to get top tier easily out of the whole class. He was going to be picked number 1 or 2. If there was a OVW draft, he was going first round for sure. You know, so it was like that, but it wasn't like a real hardcore jock position. I don't think. We would do our house shows, and to me, believe it or not, man, to me, the house shows when I was in OVW were no greater than some of the shows in North Carolina on the indie show. And I'm thinking, you know, we're the next generation of, you know, superstars that's going to be on television. Why don't I see some people popping off shit like boom, boom, you know? It was just like, okay. You know, it was like, okay, we get our money every week. We know what we're gonna do. We're not gonna hurt each other. We're not gonna do too much. That's the sense that I got. You know, when I was see, because I thought I was gonna go in and see some shit like, but you had guys like Johnny Morrison who was fucking phenomenal. He was doing flips back then, you know, and so yeah, he was doing his shit. You know, Dolph Ziggler, you know, he was doing his stuff. You know, because he was a collegiate wrestler. And even Lashley was doing stuff, but you know, some of the other guys was kind of lollygagging and kind of, you know, in their matches, and it was just okay match, not phenomenal. You know, I've seen better. I was like, okay, I've seen better. But for me, I couldn't grasp it because my ass was still war zone.
Yeah.
I was still in Baghdad, like, don't fuck with me. So it was so bad I didn't even have a finisher. They were like, Chilly,
Okay.
what's your finish? They were like, Chilly, what's your finisher? I'm like, I don't know, man. I just whatever. Jim Cornette said, just hit him with a DDT. I was like, oh, okay, all right. That's how I was like, okay. I want to go home. When I got fired, John Laurinaitis Ice called me at my hotel. And he was like, hey, Chilly, Vince said, your promo, it's okay, but he needs more, something. He said, so you don't have to go to practice. But if you want to go down, you're welcome to go. We'll see you down in Puerto Rico to Carlos Colon School or something like that. I was like, nah, man, I'm taking my black ass home to my wife. I just got out of the military a month ago, and so I need to go home. And that's what I did. I just went home. I didn't even stick around. That was it for me.
Now, another thing you were talking about, you mentioned Bobby Lashley quite a bit, and do you watch the current product? Have you seen the Hurt Business?
I have to be honest with you, man. I'm starting up a friend of mine is starting up a podcast soon, February 6th, and we both said we got to start watching the product because I don't watch it. I do not. I just started watching maybe a week ago, and I seen Dynamite, AEW, but I seen a little bit of the Hurt product. I just saw the interview with MVP Raw. I think it Raw Talkback or something like that.
Okay.
He jacked up R-Truth. I think R-Truth is the funniest shit going on. I think he's the best thing in WWE right now. But anyway, I haven't seen all of their matches or anything like that. No.
And you mentioned R-Truth. I think he takes the same vitamins that the Boogey Man takes because he doesn't age.
Yo, for real.
He looks the
I
same
was like,
that he did. Yeah.
exactly. I was like, yo, what? I was like, R-Truth, he's older than me. He's what? I don't know, 52, 53 maybe. I'm 51. I'm like, dude, this dude looks good, But he's the funniest thing, I think, man, that's going on wrestling. But I kind of get what the Hurt Business is doing. They're taking they're like the Black Four Horsemen, I guess, or something like that.
People say that. I don't know if I like that direct comparison because I don't really think that's what they're going for. But at least I don't want to believe that. But the dynamic basically is MVP is the mouthpiece. Then you got Lashley's like the big, the big strong badass. Then you got Shelton, who's like the enforcer of the group, and he's teaming with the young buck Cedric's kind of like the loudmouth he's still kind of young and he wants to. But initially, my take was everybody was upset because they said, "Oh, they're putting all these old guys together, right?"
Right.
And they're not giving young guys a chance. Then they bring Cedric in the fold, and I think right now what we're starting to see is it's become a vehicle for getting this young kid over as a major player. And so at the end of the day, it works out for everybody. And I think it's bringing Lashley back to the main event level.
Yeah. My only takeaway from Lashley is that he has $1 million body. But when it comes to talking, he cannot. That's what held him back. Me personally, same thing with Brock. Well, I mean, if you take away if you take away Paul Heyman from Brock Lesnar and you take away Brock Lesnar's MMA, I mean, he's a badass, yes, but when it comes to pro wrestling, he's what are you gonna do? So in pro wrestling, you got to have some type of enigma gimmick that's going to get over. And if it's not your mouth, if you can't articulate or you cannot make people fear you or love you, then what's the point? You're just going to be like a mid Carter. You know what I mean? So people always say, well, why Bobby Lashley didn't get to the point where Brock Lesnar was? It's because his mouth. He cannot. He's just a super nice guy. I know a little bit of Bobby Lashley from being in OVW. Mild mannered, you know what I mean? And so, but when you have a body like that, you got to be either asshole or or you got to be like, you know, I don't know, Shawn Michaels nice, or I don't know. But so I think when you put them guys together like that, you know, MVP has that. He has that mouth. He has the attitude. He's like, yo, you know, he's that guy, that roughneck, that you know, I want to be. You know, he has it, and he brings. Because without MVP, there's no hurt business. I don't care if you put Shelton Benjamin, Bobby Lashley, Cedric Alexander, you put them all together. Without MVP mouthpiece,
Yeah,
you have no hurt business.
100%.
You know what I mean? You have no hurt business. And what makes R-Truth is that he's not a big muscular guy, not a little guy, but his mouth can, whatever he says, even if he's acting crazy, acting stupid, you know, he can articulate something and he'll catch you for a minute. You know, you'll sit there and be mesmerized, but what are you gonna say next? Is it gonna be funny? Is it gonna be crazy? You know, what is R-Truth gonna say next? You know, what is he gonna do next? But if you see Bobby Lashley, it's like, okay, I see the body, but you know, I could be a little bit lackadaisical and not know what he's gonna do because he's not articulating. He's not catching my attention. And nowadays, you got to catch my attention, man, if you want me to keep subscribing to the network. And if you don't, then I got to let you go. And so, yes, whoever put that shit together, man, that's a good thing. And Cedric Alexander, you know, I don't know him. Well, I've met him once, I think, in North Carolina somewhere. But I think he will benefit later on in his career from this. You know, it just depends. Just depends because you got so many lightweights in the division, man. It's just who knows where it's going to go, you know. And I don't know. For me, I'm a Vince McMahon type of guy. Size to me matters, and when it comes to pro wrestling, so unless you like Rey Mysterio, and there's only one Rey Mysterio, you know. But that guy in AEW is awesome, Rick the Phoenix guy, whatever.
Ray Phoenix. Yeah,
that motherfucker's awesome. He's a next coming of Rey Mysterio. But you know, I like it. I like the hurt business. I think it's okay. You know, I think it's going to work. I don't know what they're going to do with it, but my question to you guys is, what about Keith Lee?
That guy's one of my favorites. I mean, I've always said many great things about him. I used to see him on, you know, local shows around here now and again, taking on Dijak or Dijakovic, whatever you want to call him this week. You know, and they put on some of the greatest matches, and he's going to be a top star. And I mean, I think before the year's through, he's going to be on top. Yeah,
I think he's going to be okay. I think I don't know. I don't know. If it's Vince McMahon that's liking it, maybe. Yeah. If it's Stephanie and it's Hunter, I don't know if Keith Lee is there.
I think that plays into something because it's like I think Vince sent him back down to NXT recently for like a week.
Performance Center, was it? I thought it was Performance Center. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did hear about that.
To touch up a little bit and then sent him back to the main roster. But that match he had with McIntyre, was it 2 weeks ago now? It was a really good match. It headlined Raw, and it was a really good match. And it was a clean, there was no gimmicks in the match. You know, there was no tables, chairs, none of that business involved. It was just a straight up match, which you don't see that often on WWE TV anymore. But I think that guy's going to be big.
It's funny you talked about promos earlier, and that's my thing with Keith Lee. I kind of like the smooth talker guy, but I want to see him when he gets in a program, when he gets angry. I want to see him go from greetings and salutations to like being like, you know, he's got to beast out at some point. He's got to let some fire out.
Yeah. That's my whole thing about wrestling now. There's no monsters in wrestling, whereas it used to be monsters. When people come out, kids used to be afraid. Like when people see Andre the Giant, they used to be, oh shit, and he ain't have to say a word. You know what I mean? And then they see a guy like I don't know. They see a guy like Don Morocco comes out shouting, Ric Flair, the best of the best. You know, and it's like now it's like everyone wants to be. I don't know. I don't know. I just, who knows? I don't know where this is going. I know that it's going somewhere. I know wrestling is going somewhere. I just don't know where, And with this COVID stuff going on, I don't know. We just have to keep tuning in through our computers and see what happens.
It goes in waves. Like the popularity goes in the waves. You know what I mean? It's just whatever formula they need to attract the fans this time to get the fans go away over the years and then they come back. But right now it's obviously like a low point, I guess, as far as viewership goes. But it's like they're just trying to find whatever it is that'll bring the fans back in.
And I give kudos to the guys and the girls who's out there still doing it, man. Who's entertaining us. They're doing the best they can with what they got, because I don't think it's that easy to go into an arena with a bunch of TV screens. And I want to know, how can I be on that TV screen? How can I sit at my computer and be in the Thunderdome? I want to know.
You can sign up.
You can really? Yeah.
On the website, yeah. They send me emails all the time, and the couple times I did it, I forgot to go on. So.
Well, shit.
Yeah, for real.
But anyway, hey, I think it's hard. That's a hard thing to do, man. To just go in there and wrestle in front of a bunch of TV screens.
Yeah, they're piping in the crowd noise too.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say they put.
That's annoying as a fan. That's like that.
Yeah.
That not natural reaction. You know what I mean?
Right.
And know that Vince was always a guy that he wants to see something. He wants to see how the fans react in order to push that forward or take it away entirely. Now there's really no way to gauge it. I mean, other than maybe T-shirt sales, maybe.
But you go back and watch those shows back in like April with no TV screens and no.
Yeah.
Bad.
Yeah, but then they had the fake crowd. They had like stand-ins sitting in there, and basically they would focus on them in the screen, like overreacting, like when moves would happen and stuff. They're basically just like Hollywood stand-ins, like extras, kind of. You know what I mean?
Well, what about AEW? They don't do screens.
No, they have like 10% capacity or something like that in the building, and they had the wrestlers around the ring area, and I thought it worked perfectly. It's there's enough for crowd noise. It's not overdone. The cheering for the heels and the baby faces. It came off natural feeling.
WWE did do that, and then they got in a lot of trouble when they started letting family and friends in, if you remember. And there were rumors that they were encouraging people not to wear masks.
They also had 2 spikes of COVID in the within the company.
So I think that's another reason why they went to the format they went to, so they wouldn't have to deal with that issue.
But here, go and talk about the COVID. Doesn't what's his name, Drew, have that now?
Yeah. It just came out last week. They announced it last week.
So how would that impact on him on this Royal Rumble, or what's the next?
When they announced it, Royal Rumble was still 3 weeks away, correct? And they said that basically he's got a quarantine for 2 weeks. But I'm sitting here like, I don't think it's smart, because it could take up to like 4 weeks, if not more, for everything to get out of your system. I mean, he's going to go in there with Goldberg and give him COVID. You know what I mean? That's how I'm looking at it. Now, everybody that was there with him the previous week all has to go get checked. So all the legends and such.
Now, unless it's a gimmick. Could be a gimmick.
Very possible. It's very possible. Knowing WWE, it's very possible.
So. I mean, you got Goldberg coming in, so I mean, to me, I don't like that. I mean, I like Goldberg. I never met him. No, I met him once, but I don't like that. Even Triple H. I don't like those guys coming back at the time of WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, because now you take his spot. Like Ali said, you taking the young kid's spot. Why don't you put an angle in there somewhere with someone like my guy? I like Buddy Murphy myself.
Oh, that guy's awesome. He's great.
I think he's going to be a Steve Austin type star if they let him do what they like. Me personally, I'm betting on that's what I would do. I would make that guy a Steve Austin type style star. Swear to God, right. And to me, I think you don't bring in guys like Goldberg to go up against guys. Make it a three-way. Sheamus, Keith Lee, and fucking Drew McIntyre. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why you can't do that? Why can't you do that? You know what I mean? And keep that feud running. You know, instead of bringing I don't know. To me, that does take away from the young guys, and it take away a lot, because that you could put a young guy in there and maybe build off of that.
But I mean, there is some money involved with like Goldberg. You know, I mean, he does bring like a certain demographic in.
That's true.
It's probably people maybe around our age, maybe if not, around that age. But it's like at the same time, me as a fan, I was never a huge fan of his. You know what I mean? I mean, I like that match that he did with Steven Regal back in the day, where Steven Regal shot on him and
they laid down on him.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, that was pretty interesting. But it's like, in seriousness, I don't really like look forward to seeing any of these older people come back. I like to see. It's time to build stars. And
that's what I'm saying.
I know Andy's gonna say something.
No, because I got the solution. Okay, we just have Goldberg against Triple H in a bathroom match, and we're all happy. Okay?
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Well, honestly, I was at WrestleMania 35, and when Hunter and the other guy, what's his name, Batista, was working their match, I literally spent about a half hour on the line in the bathroom trying to get into the bathroom. So it took time.
That's what they,
I mean, but seriously, I mean, I get what they're trying to do at times. Bring in a certain demographic. They're filling in. They're having what that year was. I think it was almost a 6-hour show. So I mean, they're trying to fill, but they try to get every single person on there from like a 2-hour pre-show. They had literally 2 battle royals. You know what I mean? And all these other matches. It's just, and then that's even before the main card started. It's crazy.
The problem is you're bringing in these guys like Goldberg, and you're not getting anybody over. If Goldberg came and did a quick job to Drew, so Drew looks like Superman, then I get it.
Right. I get you there. And I would hope that it would go that way, but they have a knack for bringing in Goldberg and him squashing somebody in less than a minute. He did it with Brock when he came back, and he did it with the other guy, Bray Wyatt, when he came back too. Right. So I mean, let's think realistic here. Is it going to happen? It's really.
I wonder. I'm sorry. I wonder how WrestleMania is going to be this year. I'm really interested to see what it's going to be like. Is it just going to be like Raw, SmackDown with the Thunderdome thing, or how are you going to jazz it up any more than that? I mean, you can't let people in, So
I think this year there is going to be somewhat of a very low capacity. I think this year they just announced it's going to be 2 days again, like it was last year. It's going to be the April 10th and 11th, and if I remember correctly, when I heard this, I think earlier today, that there is going to be some fans allowed in, but not by many.
Probably like the football thing going on.
Probably.
So, Chilly, we didn't talk about it earlier, but COVID's changed the world, as we're discussing right now. Are you pretty much free to roam out over there in the Philippines right now, or is there still?
Well, here you have to wear a mask and a face shield.
Oh,
so if you're outside, like in a park, or if you walk into a store, like a market, because they have a lot of outside markets, you can just wear your mask. But if you're going into the mall, if you're going to a hospital, you're going into dental, any place like that where you're going inside, you gotta have a face shield plus the mask, or else you're not getting in.
Wow.
And so it has dropped. It has dropped, I think, a lot here. I had it back in November. I had it for like a week or two. Not too bad, but I did catch it. And it's no joke. That shit is no joke, man. You're like trying to breathe, and your smell is gone. You're trying to smell oranges, and you can't even smell it. It's an orange, but you can't smell that shit. You're like, so your body aches and everything. But yeah, they're very strict when it comes to your face mask and your face shield here, and so that's the difference. Here, so it's going good. They still have some cases, but not nearly as much as they did when it first started, when it first came out. I mean, maybe I don't know how many people are not maybe 2 or 3 people died out of the whole country a day here, maybe. That's how light it is. As before it was like a couple of hundred people dying or something like that. But now it has really gone down. But we still they do social distancing, but not as much. That's not really a big factor unless it's large gatherings. But yeah, they're strict over here. The next president is no joke. So you fuck around, you will get fined, and then you get put in jail and the whole nine. So yeah, I'm not trying to go to jail.
Now, so I'm guessing all sporting events, which is going to lead me to wrestling, of course. I guess that's all still out of the question.
Yeah, pretty much. I think they have basketball with no fans.
Okay.
They just have the. They're huge here in basketball, but they don't have any no fans. I think just the cameras. Like that. I think volleyball is the same thing, and things like that. Basketball and volleyball are the only 2 major sports here, pretty much. They do soccer, but it's not as popular. And there's no wrestling scene other than the one that independent scene that they had that I was involved in. But that's about it.
I was going to ask you about that. It's the Philippine Wrestling Revolution.
Yes, PWR.
Can you tell me? I know obviously they're not working right now. I think they closed down sometime last year, from what I read. Can you tell me a little bit about that company? I saw that they started back in 1989.
I think from what I saw, they had some films. They had some old wrestler guys or whatever that was doing. They were doing it. They had a TV contract, I think, back in the day. And then I don't know exactly when they stopped, but I know when I came here in 2015, they were just starting up again, and there was a bunch of guys, just young Filipino guys, started out as a Facebook group, and then they really actually got into doing a wrestling thing. I don't know, maybe they were taught a little bit by a guy named Joey Legend. I don't think he taught them, but I think he went down there and he came here and showed them some things, and then they just picked up from there and kept going and kept going. And so when I got here in 2015, I went to one of their shows, and it was the biggest show that they had yet. They had 600 people there. 600.
Wow. Okay.
And I was like, yeah, that's what I said. When I walked in, I was like, get the fuck out of here. I was like, okay, this is how the Philippines is rolling when it comes to pro wrestling, indie wrestling. Now, mind you, Manila is probably no bigger than, I don't know, let's say Raleigh, let's say Charlotte,
Okay.
give or take. But the Philippines itself is no bigger than California. But Manila's the capital, and they got one professional, at that time, they had one professional company. Another one was coming too, but it was it was in the works. But these guys had 600 people at their show, and I was sitting in there, and I was like, "Oh my god!" They had TV cameras, the whole nine. But then when the wrestling started, I was like, "Oh shit!" I was like, "Really?" They need some work. Not knocking them. They knew they were green. They so green, so green. But they had you had 1 or 2 guys as major stars there. That people really flocked to, and overall the show was a success. 600 people. I mean, paying almost $10 per person.
Right.
So for me, I'm like, that's like an ECW show. That's not even an indie show in North Carolina. It's an ECW show. And so, these guys, I connected with these guys and girls, and did some training with them, whatever. Just help them out a little bit. But I wanted to actually be a part of their company, but they wouldn't let me because I'm not Filipino. That's kind of how it is. Sort of like, you got a company there in North Carolina, and you're not gonna let some Filipino come to North Carolina and say, "Hey, let me join your show." Not join your show, but let me join your company. Unless he got buku money that's going to benefit you. But anyway, and so make a long story short, they had a rift in their company where their champion left, and maybe another guy left, And I was still trying to, like consulting a little bit, helping them guys out with their show. And then those guys came to me and asked me if I would train them for another promotion called AOW, Art of War Wrestling. And so I said, yeah. So I started training these guys. But just like any other wrestling promotion, whether it's Philippines, Japan, whatever, you have some shady ass promoters. And so they had a manager, promoter, some young guy. Actually, he was one of the referees from the PWR. He also came over. And he had a little bit of money. His family had money. But he was trying to go big. He wanted to put them on television. And I told these guys, I said, look, I had about 25 students. I said, from scratch, I'm talking from the streets. I'm not talking about they wrestled before. I'm talking 25 people who never bumped before. He told them he wanted them to be on television in 10 months. I said, no way in hell. There's no way in hell that they're going to be polished and ready. And I said, I couldn't. I said, fucking Vince McMahon can't even come here. No one can come here and teach these guys that, and they'd be ready in 10 months. It's impossible. So, through it, I trained these guys, and in 10 months, we had our first show. We had the first show. I had them ready for their first show, and the guy bullshitted so much that we had a big venue at a big nightclub, one of the biggest nightclubs in the Manila. And we waited all day for the ring. The guy said we were going to have a 20 by 20 foot ring, old boxing ring. And it was a 20 by 20 boxing ring, but the shit was so rusted, I think it was 20 years old. Oh. So I was on a ring, being ECW, I was on a ring coach. I kind of knew how to put a ring together. They had their own engineer. And he couldn't even hardly put it together. We had to hire a welder to come in and weld some pieces together at the nightclub just to put the ring together. So that was one fuck up. Then the boards was fucked up. It had a big hole in not in the center, but in the corner. I had to figure out how to patch that up. Put the canvas on top and tell them, do not bump, do not run on this side of the ring, or else you're going to fall through. Well, finally, we got everything done. The ropes were like jelly. But the wrestling was pretty decent for guys that I trained for 10 months. I had good reviews of the wrestling was pretty good, and like a fucked up promoter at the end of the show, no money. And the only thing I wanted was for my students to get their first paycheck from a pro wrestling show that they were involved. That's only fair. I don't care if you give them $5. I don't care. Just give them something. And swear to God, dude, I don't know what happened to the money. Now, mind you, I'm in the Philippines. And my blood is boiling. I mean, boiling. And I wanted to hit somebody something bad. Andy, I'm talking, I wanted to hurt some because I put my heart, my sweat in these kids, and they don't get nothing. So we're all standing outside waiting. And people were going into the club to dance. We already took down the ring and everything, rusted ring, and they get nothing. And so I said, well, if I hit them, I'm going to get deported back to America. I don't want that to happen. I don't want my name to be messed up. So I just had to let it go. So that night, I just walked off. I walked off. I said, I'm not going to train these guys anymore. I can't do it. You guys got something else. You know what I mean? And, but, the other guys, we made amends. Then they found out. The inner circle found out that the promoter was bullshit, so they had an internal fighting or whatever, so they broke off. And so now some of those guys are with. You guys heard of WUW, Wrestling Underground Wrestling?
I don't think so. No.
You never heard of that promotion? Me neither. I had never heard of it until last year. Because those guys are out of California, WUW. Anyway, so now they're connected. Some of those guys are connected with them, but my other students they're gone. They're like in another promotion, and then they have another promotion here, MWF, Manila Wrestling Federation. Really good promotion. Had Tajiri here a couple of times. And yeah, me and him connected. We hooked up, and out and everything. But that's a good. But now nothing is going on. Nothing's going on here in the Philippines, so it's really bad. But PWR did have TJ Perkins here, maybe last year for a match. Then I want to say, what's the Jeff Cobbs? You guys heard of
man,
Cobb?
Jeff Cobb.
Yeah. I didn't go to the match. I didn't go to neither one of them, but he was here also.
Oh, he's a superstar, man. That guy's great.
Yeah, so they had some. They've been bringing in some talent, and WWE actually came to see their promotion PWR, but no one got picked except for a girl. Her name was I forgot her name. Victor? No, I forgot her name. Anyway, she was the one that got picked, but I don't think she got to go to WWE, but they did pick her to do some stuff, but I don't know what happened. So overall, the wrestling scene here is very, very, very like non-existent, except for the 2-3 promotions that they had here: PWR, MWF, and now WUW. And so, but I did train about 25 students, so they have some knowledge of wrestling, and some of them are doing good. Some of them are in different promotions doing their own thing. So, yeah, I'm proud of that. That I can't say I'm proud of.
That's awesome.
But they're good. They're nice people here, man. They're willing to listen and learn. It's just that the mechanics are a little bit off, a little bit. Unless, but they can grasp. There's like 2 or 3 out of the whole Manila that really can grasp what's going on in pro wrestling, and the others just have to follow. Get their weight up.
Thank you so much for listening or watching to this part 2 in the interview with Chilly Willy. Make sure you check out his podcast, ANC Podcast, which will be debuting very soon. And make sure you check out PWZ Podcast on all major platforms.